Hi, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Inside Sailtrek SOC. My name is Ria. I am your host, and I'm very pleased to welcome back Michael Lee. He is the director and editor of Uncivilized, which is a documentary that was released back in 2020. How are you?
I'm doing well, thanks, Ria. How are you?
Good. Well, nice to have you back again. I'm not sure. Maybe it's been about 8 months or so since the last time we chatted.
Yeah, time is a little strange right now.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about, to start with, Uncivilized. For those that haven't met you before through this forum, tell us a little bit about this documentary and what it's all about.
Yeah, so Uncivilized, I basically went to live in the forest in Dominica, kind of with this idea that maybe by going back to nature and living a simple life, there was maybe something lost that could be got back to, and also a version of life that might not completely destroy the world as the one we currently have. And halfway through my project living off the land, Hurricane Maria, which is a Category 5 hurricane, swept through and kind of completely changed everything. And from there, it was not just a story of my own, but a story of survival for the whole island of Dominica. And, you know, we basically went half a year to a year with no electricity, no running water, a lot of no essential services, but we were still able to survive well, I think, based on our relationship to nature and the small community type feel of the place. So yeah, that's Uncivilized in a nutshell. Really, the big question being questioning ideas of progress and development, both for the world and the country externally as well as internally.
Well, I guess Hurricane Maria kind of brought that your insular project brought it to the entire island, really. So you were dependent on each other. All those things that you had gone away to find without the internet and without sort of, you know, the amenities that we appreciate today, it was brought to the entire island. So you did have to learn how to survive without the things that we enjoy.
Yeah, it was bizarre because it's almost like, you know, everything I've been doing for the 3 months before Maria was almost like training for the following 6 months to a year. It's like when it happened, I was like, okay, I've been doing this for the last 3 months. I know how to do this. I'm ready to do this.
Yeah. So where are you located now?
I'm in Dominica still. So last time we chatted, I was in Dominica, but the pandemic was pretty calm here. We're still pretty much going about business as usual. Things have changed a little bit since we last chatted.
Well, what is going on there? I mean, you know, I think a lot of people, when they think of the Caribbean, they think of this one entity. They don't think of it as all these different countries and all these definitely different cultures. But each island really has, because a lot of them are different countries, they have all their own rules and regulations, and they're being affected definitely in very different ways. How is it affecting, the pandemic affecting you there?
Yeah, well, so Dominica is a pretty small island. We're known as the nature island of the Caribbean. Tourism is one of our biggest industries, even though it's still relatively small compared to the rest of the Caribbean. But, you know, I would say the tourism sector is currently running at a sort of a fraction of what it was previously. And then with, it was maybe a month or two ago that we had our first big surge, probably with like the Delta variant, and we had to have lockdown. And then that also means like, you know, events are canceled, shoots are canceled, bars, restaurants, all of those things got closed down. So it has been rather tight for everyone right now. But luckily, I mean, things are opening up again. I would say the good thing is we have enough vaccines.
Yeah.
One of the issues is just, as we're seeing all over the world, getting people feeling comfortable to take the vaccine.
Do you know, in some of the last interviews that I've done, that does seem to be an issue, especially in the islands. I mean, I do know that it is around the world, but maybe it's perhaps because there is such a smaller population within the islands that it is accented more so. But what is the sort of suspicion? You know, do people talk to you? Do you know what the suspicion is against this?
I think there's a couple of things. I think one, there's a general distrust of the world governments and also of big pharma. I think two, there is the history of, I guess, some of these governments, you know, but how do I say? I guess doing unethical research oftentimes on minorities. But three, I think there's also a lot of misinformation. And I mean, I've met people who have shown me their reason for not getting the vaccine. And it's just some guy at a computer talking who has no virology credentials, no science credentials, but says, you know, two things that are true followed by two things that are false. And I think it's really difficult for people to figure out what's what, especially in an age where there isn't necessarily huge trust in the mainstream media. And even if you do listen to the mainstream media, there's still a lot of misinformation there as well.
What is the medical situation like on the island? I know it's a small island. You know, there are some other islands that do not have, you know, massive hospitals to deal with any sort of health crisis. What is it like there?
I think in terms of capacity, I think we're good. We have a hospital in the capital, and then there's quarantine centers. I think Picard Beach or Portsmouth Beach Hotel is one. There's a couple other sites like that. So I don't think that we are over capacity at the current moment. But I think we're currently at 545 active cases. And how many deaths? I think about 13 deaths. And again, it's a small island. I mean, at least 2 of the deaths, I know the people worked with my parents, one of which was actually yesterday. So yeah, it's a strange thing where it's quite real.
I think it doesn't actually quite hit home for a lot of people until they do know somebody that dies from the virus, and then all of a sudden it's real, and they change their sort of opinion and their mind. But until that happens, and it's such a shame that it takes that in order for people to pay attention to it and take it seriously. And like you say, it's due to a lot of mistrust straight across the face of the planet, and you know, by all rights, they have every right to be distrustful. That's just my personal opinion, but I do believe they have every right to be distrustful. Now, what is it? Have you guys opened up? Because you did go into lockdown there for a while.
Yeah, so lockdown's over. I think currently we're pretty much opened up. I think the decision was made that since we have enough vaccines and testing and everything, and that the hospital is not at capacity, we were pretty much asked to be responsible and do the right thing. But I think the decision was made to open things back up because the economic repercussions of being in lockdown for a long time are also pretty challenging. So for now, we're open.
Well, as far as, I guess, you know, you guys are available to go and do as you wish, but as far as tourism, what it's like to get visas to come in, is there rules and regulations? Is there quarantine once you arrive, or can people just come as they used to, as long as they have tests?
Yeah, I think that the quarantines are more relaxed now than they were earlier on in the pandemic. I can't tell you exactly. It's like after the last couple months, just like I haven't thought about travel or going in and out or anything like that. But I know actually it's maybe surprising to some people, there are cruise ships that are coming in. We're definitely not at full capacity, but I think there's a program called Safe in Nature. So pretty much if you get off the boat, you have to go with a certified tour guide and you can go to certain spots. And that way, at least the idea is some income can come into the country, some tourists can come into the country, but still that it's controlled in a way that if there are any outbreaks, it can be easily traced.
Well, and how has it affected you? I mean, you're a director as well as a filmmaker. I'm sure that you had a lot of projects lined up in the last year and a half. What has happened to those projects and where do you see the future?
Up in smoke. Yeah, no, I had a couple cool projects I was excited for that COVID disappeared magically. I guess I'm just trying to use this time to, as I have a little bit more downtime, I want to kind of do some more commercial work. So I have time to put some spec work together and pursue that. In terms of the future, it's a really difficult game to predict, especially as we keep getting new variants that keep changing everything up. I was actually just at the airport the other day photographing a handover of the Pfizer vaccines for the US Embassy. So we just got, I think, 11,000 vaccines from them. Again, I think a big question is how many people come around, and also whether or not, how kind of, depending on which side you're on, whether you call it strict or coercive, the vaccine laws are. Because I think Antigua is kind of putting in like a mandatory vaccine system. I think, yeah, and it's a huge ethical debate.
Yeah, well, do you know, we're seeing it straight across the planet. I have a daughter that lives in Canada, and they're not mandating vaccines, but if you want to go to a restaurant or you want to go to a gym or you want to go anywhere, you have to show proof of vaccination. But this is the weird thing, is that the people that work in the restaurant, the people that work in the gyms, there is no law stating that they have to be vaccinated. So it's once again sort of a cock-up, as it were, by the governments stating that, you know, the customers have to all show proof of vaccination, but we're not ensuring that the people that are doing the serving and the people that are actually doing the work in those businesses are vaccinated as well. And I think that just sort of shows the way governments have dealt with this situation straight across the face of the planet. They just don't really cover all the bases properly. Yeah. And that's, I think, why there is such mistrust.
Yeah, that's super strange.
It's very strange.
Super strange.
Yeah, but you know what? I mean, I know myself, I am vaccinated, just for the simple fact that I do need to do some traveling in the coming future, and before the end of the year in order for my job. And, you know, we're not going to be able to go anywhere without a vaccine, period. Yeah, that's just the way it is.
You know, it's funny, when the vaccine first came out here, you know, everyone has skepticism. I had some, and did some research to understand the mechanism of how it works and everything. And one of the issues that came up right away was just knowing that all of this was coming, that and it has come, that like you can't enter the US without a vaccine. Yeah. So it's just kind of you got to do what you got to do if you want to still get by. It's unfortunate in a way that you don't have choice, but it's the world.
Well, it is. And you know what? It's like I said to somebody else the other day, the amount of people that have been eating chicken nuggets when we didn't know what was in chicken nuggets for years and years and years.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
They're okay with that, right? So
yep.
Yeah, I could probably tell you that chicken nuggets 20 years ago are probably far worse for you than any vaccine you stick in your body now.
Chicken nuggets right now are probably worse than any vaccine.
Sorry, McDonald's. Oops. Michael, when are we going to see the next big thing from you?
That's a good question. I have absolutely no idea. It's fun, I guess, realizing how much work goes into any sort of large project. Maybe the next thing I touch might be like some short film fiction, which is a whole new learning curve. But yeah, people keep saying, "Oh, you should make something about the pandemic." I'm like, I'm sick of this pandemic. I think there's enough things out there. I don't think I have anything interesting to add.
Well, you know what? We'll look forward to it, and you'll have to let us know what it is and when it's released, and we'll make sure to let our audience know.
Cool. Appreciate it.
Well, hopefully, fingers crossed, I will be in that area come December, and maybe we'll have a chance to catch up in person.
That'd be fantastic.
Yeah, well, and I get to see your eye. I've never been, so, and I hear the Dominican is stunning.
Yeah, it is. Even one of the US Embassy guys, the vaccine was supposed to come earlier. It didn't, so he got stuck on island a little longer, and he got to do a nice amount of exploring, and I think he really enjoyed himself.
Well, I hear the food's pretty stunning as well.
Yeah, yeah, it's just a great little undiscovered gem of an island, to be honest.
Nice. Well, I know that we'll be on board a tall ship, so we'll probably have very short period of time there. But I think for me, it's going to be great because it'll be 2.5 weeks of just getting a taster of every island within the Caribbean. And it will give me that sort of taste to go back and think, okay, these are the places that I really want to go back and truly discover from top to bottom. It's like anything, you know, you delve in a little bit with your tippy toes and decide what you actually want to jump into wholeheartedly. And I can imagine an island like yours, even though it's small, would probably take a few weeks to a month to discover everything there is to discover.
Honestly, even longer. There's still things I haven't done. But yeah, I would say 3 weeks to a month is probably ideal time.
Nice. Well, you'll have to be our tour guide.
I'm down.
I want to say thank you ever so much for your time. It's very much appreciated. And we'll make sure to put all of the details to your film Uncivilized below this interview when it airs.
Sounds good.
Once again, you've been watching another edition of Inside Sailtrek SOC. My name is Ria. I have been your host. We'll see you again next week.